Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host, Gamer K, and we are finally in the month of November. 2024 is almost coming to a close, and it's my birth month. In about 2 weeks, I'll finally be 30. I can't believe it's been so long, and it's... damn. Well, on that note, let's start off this month with a video that has been in the making for a long time. Ever since I can remember. Anime has been a part of my life before I even knew it was anime. I remember being a little kid watching shows on TV, not just thinking they were just ordinary cartoons, but then I got into my high school years and I found out the majesty that is the anime community. Japanese programming that are awesome and beautiful and stunning animation. And I've accumulated so much throughout the years. Yeah. For me, though, while most people had... I don't know what people had. A lot of people had Toonami to watch stuff. But here in Canada, we had two. I had Bionics, which every Friday, Saturday night at 7 o'clock, they would show anime specials, and that's where I got my first taste of anime. Some of those shows will be on this list. And then I also had a little bit, and also a little bit of YTV, which is the Canadian program. That's not as good as it used to be. And then I started watching anime online, finding different ones. And I can't think of a better way to start off my month than to doing my top 13 animes. And once again, per usual rules, these will be my personal favorites of anime. Yeah, I have a whole bunch that I like, but I have a set list of ones that I love above everything else. Let's start, ladies and gentlemen. This is Gamer K's Top 13 Animes. And why Top 13? Because here at the Game Hub, only the odd can be number one. Start off! For those of you who know what that sound is, starting off this list is of anime that came to me a long time ago, mostly because of my best friend E, which, for those of you who watch my channel, know. It's the one and only and joke anime that says the power of friendship beats out everything, Fairy Tail. Oh, dear God. When I first watched it, I heard a lot of things about it. I saw images of it. I saw a bunch of different artwork, a bunch of different cosplays. And honestly, it is still one of my favorites. Having a lot of great characters, a lot of great fights. Does the power of friendship thing kind of make it a drawback for me? Yes and no. Have I watched the sequel? No. No, I haven't. What else about it? Again, love the end. I just think going into like the end of final season, not the sequel that just came that's been out, I just feel that that last season, I saw the animation kind of go not the best. I mean, all the color was kind of like, if you compare Natsu from the beginning of the series to the Natsu in the final the last arc with the Spriggan Guild and Zareth, you can kind of see the difference, that the quality of the art and of the color has kind of muddied, which kind of takes away from it for me. So yeah, Fairy Tail, great start for the list. So let's move on to the next one. Okay, full disclosure, my first introduction into this anime was more so, again, on Bionics. And I watched the original version, and later on I watched the one thinking it was going to be a sequel, but then realizing it was based on the manga. So I like both, but the second one is what made me gets on this list. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. How can you not love this anime? And no, not just because of lust. The story, the animation, the battles, this is what an old school anime feels like in the 2000s. And it is still one of the few animes that gets me here a lot. Especially in that final episode with Greed. Normally, Troy Baker's characters usually make me laugh or want to fight, but Troy, you did a bang-up job making me really love a villain again. Like, I love villains, and yeah, Greed not being a full villain later on the series, but being a great side character that brought so much potential. And the whole throat's getting dry. The whole series, I need to do a rewatch because it's been, God, almost a good 15 years. Wait. I just got to make sure because it feels like that. Oh, 2009 to 2010. So I was right getting into high school. Good to know. God, has it been that long? Wow, 15 years. Wow. Just saying that now makes me feel weird. Wow. But still, going back to the list, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, still one of my personal favorites, one of my retro favorites, and I gotta get my cousins in Greece to watch this, because they got into anime throughout the years without any of my influence, so I kind of feel proud about that. So I gotta get into something that's retro, and something that's stuff that they will like. I gotta start. Next up, Bionics gave me one of my very first adult and first real anime. Having the Japanese opening, having dark subject matter, mature subject matter, blood, violence. I remember as a kid, as a young, well, not a kid, but a preteen kind of. I remember watching Bionics late at night in my room and having to change the channel when my parents were coming in because I didn't want them to say I couldn't watch it. And that show was none other than Inuyasha. Again, my first real anime. This, Dot Hack Sign, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Gundam Seed, all of those really classic animes shown on Bionics. It was full of adventure. It made me realize what the word bastard was. Holy crap. I saw romance. I saw disgustingness. I saw a lecherous monk get slapped so many times. I saw one of my great villains, Naraku. I saw a world full of Japanese lore and demons and super cool characters. Koga is still one of my favorite side characters to date. And, oh my God, the voice of Rat Trap and Dinobot, Ian McShane voicing him, it still made me feel so much. And everything about the series was great. The old school animation, the amazing openings, the grandness of the world, the dark material that I was drawn to for so long. It, like everyone at a certain age has that show that brings them into like the adult scene, the mature subject, and Inuyasha was my level for that. I mean, nowadays it's easier for kids to be introduced to animes of a certain genre, but back in the day, Bionics was the only thing I had to do so. Yeah. But again, still one of my favorites. And again, I have not watched the sequel that they did because, again, I have so much to catch up on. So many new shows have been added for me. And I don't feel like going back to something that has been over years for me. Once that final season ended and I was done with Inuyasha's story, I was done. So I didn't want to get into this. The whole sequel character things are starting to become a bit of a nuisance, if you guys catch my drift. So I don't really go for them. But for those of you who love them, I'm not going to complain. Let's just get on to the next set of the list. Jetix. Another clear-cut way for me to watch. Throat's really dry. To watch anime after 7 o'clock on Disney. I mean, of course, they had shows like Witch, Get Ed, Power Rangers, and all that stuff. But they had some animes, too. Like Shaman King. One of my, again, another classic for me of the 2000s. And I tried. I really, really, really tried watching the one that's based on the manga. And here's the thing for me. Full Metal Alchemist, I preferred the manga version, Brotherhood, over the original idea. Shaman King, I prefer the original one over the manga one that came out a couple of years ago. It's just the story, the combat, the humor in it. Like, it's not so abrasively evil like and that the original one is, and Rio doesn't have a new hairstyle every freaking episode. But overall, Shaman King, again, I love every time that opening came on TV, I would be drawn to the TV. I loved the characters, Amidamaru, Yo, Morty, Tokagero, Rio, Faust, Jaco, Lai Ren, Trey. Some of it, and it's the reason I love the original one, because the new one kind of, yeah, I see the differences, I see the comparisons, but it just doesn't fit with me. Especially having a big nut raccoon. Can I even show this? Yeah, no thank you. But I'm still rewatching it. All the stuff that I love about the original. It just hits that nostalgic chord with me. And the animation, for me, is still some of my favorites in anime. I love the ghostly effects that they do. And it's not so modernized now. I mean, a lot of shows do stuff like that with the special effects. But again, the old school ones just have that amazing feel for me. And that's why Shaman King from the 2000s is, again, one of my favorites. And now we're leaving the bottom half of the list and going right to the near the middle. If there is an anime I did not expect to enjoy, it's one that has some action, a lot of humor, but it teaches you something. Who knew a science geek in a prehistoric future would be an interesting concept? I know I didn't at first. Case in point, this anime, Dr. Stone. Never before did I think of this kind of anime would make me love it. It's got some action, but it's more... I don't know how to describe it. It's one of those odd animes that feels like it should have had one season to finish everything, but it's again, I can't describe it. It has this edge and feeling that teaches you stuff about science. And it's glorious. I love the animation. The characters are some of the coolest and wackiest ones I've seen in a while for an anime like this. And at the same time, I push through. No, usually it takes me I give an anime 4 episodes to win me over. If it hasn't by then, I skip. I bow out. But Dr. Stone suckered me in with a great story that I still need to continue because I haven't caught up yet. The prospect of using science in the medieval age sounds dorky and weird, but when they use it, like the animation and the moments with it, like the old man blowing glass and having Chrome use science to beat the big tough guy in a way, and to escape from a prison from a bunch of people. Well, prison as a loose term, but yeah, it's an anime that has really shown that an anime doesn't need a lot of blood, a lot of violence, a lot of fan service, hint, hint, at some. It doesn't need all that stuff in order to be fantastic. Sometimes you just need a good story told in a good way with not so much cheese on it. So, let's continue on this list before I become petrified. This is an anime that really captured my inner childhood a little bit. Because, again, like a lot of the shows I mentioned on Bionics, Cowboy Bebop was an anime that had... I still need to rewatch it because it's been so long since I watched it on Bionics. And this anime brought me back to watching that when I was a teenager. And it had a simple story, very little in terms of complex story, just a good old-fashioned underdog story. And I remember watching it on Toonami years ago, 2018. And I caught the premiere of Megalobox, a very simplistic sports anime about boxing with cybernetics. And I'm like, okay, this kind of feels like what Real Steel did, but it's not. I caught the premiere. I love the old school animation. I love the old school art style. Like, that feels like Spike Spiegel in a way with Cowboy Bebop. And I don't know how to say it. I was entranced by the amazing story of Joe, Junk Dog, wanting to get out of the slums and be something bigger after having to lose a bunch of rigged fights in the underground. After that first episode ended, and then I had to wait the next week for the next one, I felt like a kid again. Like, you ever had that show where you're sitting down on the floor, on the couch, and then the episode ends and you gotta wait for next week to see the amazing conclusion instead of just hitting next episode like a bunch of... It was an anime that made me feel that way again. Like, when I was a kid and I couldn't just go online and see the next episode. I had to wait, and I did. And Megalobox gave me some of the best fight scenes I've seen in a I don't really watch sports animes that much, but this may be the only one. And it was glorious. It was absolutely glorious. From the amazing moments, to the fight scenes, to the story. And when that theme played, you felt the intensity. God damn. I might cry. Like, talking about this is, like I said, bringing back days of when I was I was in college, watching an old school feeling anime in New Day, and it was just brilliant. If you like retro art style, if you like something simplistic, Megalobox is something for you. It may be simplistic, but it delivers a knockout with visuals, with story. Season 2 drags a lot, but it still has great moments. Yeah. It's a must watch for me. My Hero Academia. I have not caught up with the latest season, so I've had a lot of stuff to do, a lot of shows to watch. So give me some leeway. I fell in love with it the first time I watched it. It's fantastic. And yes, I know a lot of people bag on it, but for me, it's great. It's great animation, great fighting, great character development throughout. It even gives a lot of side characters a bunch of development. And not a lot of animes do that to the extent that they did it. And I still need to watch the latest season. And I know a lot of people are saying that I'm going to be shocked. And I want to be surprised. But it still gave us some amazing moments. from where I am. Like, you know what? Just the characters in general. Like, it's in an anime about superheroes being the norm, and so many of them having unique powers, unique uses for them. And some twists that you can kind of see coming, especially if they kind of, you know, throw it in your face. To the villains, like, again, I love villains. And My Hero Academia is no exception. Shigaraki, overhaul, holy shit. All for one. Like, how can you not love these characters? And then there's the later characters that come in later in the show, like Night Eye, Hawks, Lemillion, Amajiki, so many side characters that come in later, but they feel like you've known them since the start. For me, it's a great anime, but for me, sometimes the episodes can kind of not necessarily go down, but just feel dragged out. Especially with the whole Deku Dark moment. Not what I was expecting, but it kind of ended just as quick as it started. I did like the moment when his friends gathered together to bring him back home. I did love that. And then, yeah, I can't wait to continue it. And it's sad that it's going to be ending soon, but, well, it gave me a super movie show to watch, so it gave me a great show to watch, so another one added to the list. Now, this next one was found by accident. Me and E love playing card games. Ever since we've known each other. And while I was on vacation, before I went on a cruise, we stopped at a local motel. Me and my dad went back to the hotel to relax while my sister and my mom went shopping. Yeah, it's kind of a tradition. There were a bunch of band people playing a card game I've never saw before. So I stayed and watched, and when I got back, I talked with it to E. And we became hooked. It's gone through numerous changes, from a reboot to a new reboot season that I haven't watched because it kind of changed for me. And again, going off of the manga, holy fuck. It's time to stand up with Card Fight Vanguard, a card game anime. Yes, that felt, okay, I'm not going to say it felt better than Yu-Gi-Oh! Because I'm a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan for life. But at the same time, this new one was great. It was just about a simple card game with very advanced rules. And we fell for it. Right at the end of high school, right going into college, we found a local card shop. We started playing. We found guys who played. They showed us the ropes. And I, for one, love the anime. I'll pretty much rewatch it once I've caught up on a bunch of other shows. But it's such an awesome anime. From the animations they do to the visuals and the story. It's but it's not until season 2 that they bring, or season 2 to season 3, they bring out a interdimensional threat that the card game, it's not, how do I explain it? It's not based on ancient magic like Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's not that the monsters are real in an alternate world like Chaotic, another great show, by the way. But it does its own thing right from the start and focuses more about tournaments and, okay, yeah, there is some magical bullshit a little bit, but it's not overly done. And from, like throat is very dry today. From the amazing cards to the characters, and it's never, okay, that's a lie, because later on some characters get so cartoony with it. But at the same time, again, it's a great anime of a great card game. And whether you like the classic game or the one now, Overdress, whichever you love, represent your favorite card games, animes, because there are a good lot of them, and a lot of them are fun, and it builds, and it makes you find friends, just like in the anime. Next, Japan. Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, just like Megalobox, I heard of this one by chance. And I was intrigued. Because for those of you who have watched a lot of my reviews, you know I love a good mystery. You know I love crime solving. So, Case File 221 Kabuki-cho is an anime that is definitely something to behold. Taking the intellectual mind of Sherlock Holmes and injecting it into the Japanese animation with fun characters, actually fun cases, with a dark twist. Holy shit. I've talked about Case File 2 Kabuki-cho a good couple of times on my channel, and there are moments that still stick with me that I remember. But one thing that always makes me love returning to this series once in a while is the cast of our three main characters that, that take the show to what it is. And that's the amazing connection with these characters. From our own Sherlock Holmes, Ian St. Clair. I told him that I loved his Sherlock Holmes, and he's like, you love that? Like, he was surprised that someone loved that and that show, and it was great. From Jesse James Smith being the amazing, Watson. Not being so much a doctor, more of a, no, he's still a doctor, but more of an aloof, which I love. And many of you may know Jesse James Smith as the voice of Tyrion from RWBY, or Yuri on Ice's own Yuri. Yeah. It's a level. And to the voice of Moriarty, Justin Briner. Yes. And I already stated this in an episode a couple of years ago. Having Justin voice a villain? I mean, we know him as all these characters. But never has he voiced something so evil with that voice of his. And they didn't get me with the big twist. Because as someone who knows a lot about Sherlock Holmes a bit, I knew they were going to do something, but I thought they were going to like change it maybe, but they didn't get me. I knew something was going to happen, but the twist that they did, they didn't get me with what they were going to do, but they got me on when they went there. It's like you expect something and you know that they're going to do it, but then they did a whole 360 on you. And that's what Case File 221 Kabuki Choke does. I talk too much about this anime. It's a great anime, great cast, great murder mysteries, great build-up for the for the second season. So if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan, it's a crime that you don't watch this show. Oh, I have to say it? Well, they didn't say it in the anime. Fine. The game is afoot. One thing that gets me into a lot of anime are the openings from Try Not to Sing challenges. And this one is no exception. What has been dubbed as a Naruto knockoff with magic. Funny. I don't think Black Clover ever had so much filler episodes. Yeah, I'm taking shots. Also, let me think. I don't remember the female characters in Black Clover from being practically useless half the time. Funny, I don't remember the main hero of Black Clover having to save his best friend from being an antagonistic a-hole half the time. Funny, I don't remember a bunch of Black Clover characters basically coming up from... You know what? You guys know it's Black Clover already. I am tired of all the knockdowns on Black Clover. It is a legitimate, great anime with its own thing. And I was pleasantly surprised. I thought they were going to do this character has hidden potential bullshit all along. But no, he just worked hard and not giving up. Yeah, not giving up is his power, but there are a lot of characters like that. Like Luffy or Yugi or Gearless Joe, Inuyasha, Edward Elric. So many characters in anime don't give up. And that's what makes them strong. What makes them push through without a power-up every 5 episodes. And Black Clover is one of those great, great animes that has that. Aside from that, a great hierarchy for the overall show of royals and commoners and the look down on that. And in a lot of great episodes, the main character, Asta, always pushes back and puts his money where his mouth is. And I love that. And again, another great thing about this anime is it doesn't... It's not a BS on... Okay, yeah, I've seen the memes where the guy yells so much and that makes his attack stronger. Well, be fair, when we were all kids, we thought pressing a button while the Pokeball was shaking made us capture it quicker. Don't lie and say you didn't think the same thing. And again, one thing I really, really love about Black Clover is how, aside from the main character's predominantly, there are great side characters that are built upon every step of the way. These characters will get their own revelations about their backstories and their own abilities and their own quirks. And then, it wasn't an arc-based story set. It started as little bits here and there that added up to the big threat that came, and now it's at a new threat that's really, really great. Love some of the fight scenes. Love a lot of the revelations that brought back from near the start of the series. And the revelations are beautiful. They are, a lot of them are surprising. A lot of them are terrifying. A lot of them make sense. It makes you rethink everything that you just watched. And all the openings are bangers. No one can say there is one bad Black Clover opening. I dare you to find one. You can't. And also, one thing that not a lot of animes do, like Power Rangers, when the theme song plays, you know it's about to get badass. When Haruki Miyaye, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, the first opening, whenever that plays during a fight scene, you know shit's about to go down. And more than one occasion, they go black and white like the manga pages. And the fight scenes just get so epic, so awesome. And every character gets a moment to shine. And that's a big reason why I love Black Clover. It doesn't just have the main character do a whole bunch of the fighting. A lot of the side characters get their own chance, their own revelations, their own evolving, their own abilities. Especially during the elf invasion arc. It's amazing. You will laugh, you will cry, you will feel the intensity. And that is what Black Clover does great. And I cannot wait for when it returns. And the movie was... I can't say any more good things. The movie was flawless. It was as hyped up as the anime, and it did not change animation style. You ever notice how sometimes the movie from animes will kind of change their animation style to make it more cinematic? Black Clover doesn't do that. It keeps the exact same, and it does it. Oh my God. If you watch Black Clover, watch the movie on Netflix. I guarantee you'll be satisfied. And it's a great story. Top 3. I'm going to my very first. Where Pokemon and Digimon were my first animes ever, there is one that I tune in every single week to watch the next episode. It's been a game of it's been a favorite game of mine since its release. I remember being 7 years old and this card game came out. Great characters. Got me into a great series. Now I could put all of them here, but I have to go with the very first, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. This was my show coming home after school and just watching Yugi and his friends battle it out to get Grandpa back from Pegasus. And yes, that it had a lot of BS and not doing the rules, but it was the first anime for card games. So they were doing a little leeway from that. But it was still amazing. Joey fighting opponents like Rex, My, Bones, and growing as a student, as a duelist. From being a novice to just having monsters in his deck to understanding the balance of other cards. To his grand battle with Bandit Keith and his cheating ways, and finally utilizing his trickery with trap cards in order to win the day, and fighting to get his sister's surgery for the prize money. To Yugi battling out with the vicious Weevil Underwood, the friendly Mako Tsunami, to the Man of Darkness Panic, and the evil spirit Yami Bakura that would have great repercussions at the end of the series. To the man himself, Seto Kaiba, and his a-hole attitude, but his legendary blue eyes. To the great Pegasus that gave us a comical villain that was evil and malicious with his toon personality. Best of friends, best of duels, and a match of the millennium. God, I remember being a kid and watching it for the very first time, and I was just rooting for Yugi, hoping he can find a way to beat Pegasus with his cheating Millennium Eye and all of his tunes. And then afterwards, Battle City and the amazing evolution of the Duel Monsters game, and seeing again Joey battling it out with his luck-based deck with his updated cards. And then the virtual world. And then the fight with Merrick. And then Awakening the Dragons. And then the gimmick that was Grand Championship. I'm not going to lie. It was still good. And then the final. The final. Not a lot of dueling happened there, but I'm okay with it. Because in the end, we got I may cry. I remember watching the final duel on TV and Yugi versus the Pharaoh. My journey was over for Yu-Gi-Oh! Until a year later, Yu-Gi-Oh! GX comes out, and my love for Yu-Gi-Oh! Continued. And the same thing happened with 5Ds, and then Zexal, and then Arc 5, and then Vrains, and then Sevens. But it just showed that after an ending, there will be a new beginning, and Yu-Gi-Oh! will continue to be one of my favorite animes. But there's two that top it. Oh boy. What's cooking? An anime I found during my years at college. A classmate of mine introduced me to the show during break, and I fell in love with it. Food Wars, or Shokugeki no Soma. An anime that I never thought would be amazing. Cooking anime? I thought it was going to be weird. Little did I know how weird it was going to be. The most nudity I've ever seen in an anime that did not revolve around actual sex. Wow, that sounded kind of weird and stupid. But overall, I love the characters of Food Wars. I love how they have their own kind of personalities, and they take the cooking super extreme. And from the cooking aspect of it alone, yeah, some of the techniques that are done can be a little showboaty and a little bit over exaggerated, but that's what makes this anime super cool. It takes something as amazing as cooking, which is great on its own, but then amplifies it with this amazing story and this amazing world. I thought it was going to be about people who battle it out, who have to cook to survive evil monsters or evil people. But no, it's just an elite cooking school. I was completely blown away by the first episode and that gotcha pork roast. Oh, I want to make that so bad, and I am salivating like a fucking mutt just thinking about it. Oh. But then later on, I loved every character that came out. From Megumi to Ishiki to Kojiro Shinomiya. To Isami, to Ryo, to Akira, to all the characters throughout the series. And every time I watched it, every single bit of the show was delicious. Every meal that they made, every dish, I wanted to eat them. And I actually tried to do the stuffed gyoza. It was a kind of a failure, kind of a success. But anyway, there's so much I can say about Food Wars. It's a great anime that gives you so much atmosphere and creativity. And I love how in the manga, at the final page, it gives you a recipe of what was made in the episode. And there are a lot of things I want to cook from this show. And it's improved my own cooking skills, too, of learning different techniques. So, if you are interested in a weird, bizarre, but great anime, that will also, like Dr. Stone, where that teaches you about science, Food Wars will teach you more cooking. Just make sure you're not gonna, have someone's be naked after cooking. Although sometimes that can happen regardless. As much as I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And Food Wars, my favorite card game anime and one of my favorite animes as a kid, to an anime that helped me grow as in my cooking prowess. There is one anime that tops them all. And if you've watched my show, if you've watched me for years, you guys know what it is. For those of you who are my friends, who know me, you know what it is.
There once was a man named Gold Roger who was king of the pirates. He had fame, power, and wealth beyond your wildest dreams. Before they hung him from the gallows, these were the final words he said.
My fortune is yours for the taking, but you'll have to find it first. I left everything I own in one piece.
Ever since, pirates from all over the world set sail for the Grand Line, searching for One Piece, the treasure that would make their dreams come true.
Yes, I first watched the 4Kids version of this. I'm not ashamed of that because it gave us a great entry. And I actually met someone this year that was involved with that first section. But after I got into high school and a classmate of mine told me about the XIII anime, I discovered, here it is.
Wealth, fame, power. Gold Roger, the king of the pirates, attained this and everything else the world had to offer. And his dying words drove countless souls to the seas.
You want my treasure? You can have it. I left everything I gathered together in one place. Now you just have to find it.
These words lured men to the Grand Line in pursuit of dreams greater than they'd ever dared to imagine. This is the time known as the Great Pirate Era.
The number one anime on the Game Hub is the one and only most manga sold worldwide. Fashion lines advertised but with it. Longest running anime. It is the one and only One Piece. It's my favorite anime of all time. And right from the start, I loved it. Even on the 4Kids version. And then when I watched the actual version, it was more amazing than I could ever imagine. When I was a kid on 4Kids, I got as far as Arlong Park. And that was it. Yeah. That was it. So I got to see this stupid lollipop thing with Sanji. The terrible fight scene in Arlong Park. But then when I watched the original and I saw the differences and how more amazing it is, the story of Sanji, Mihawk, and Zoro's fight, Nami asking for help, oh, I'm actually gonna cry. Watching One Piece throughout has changed my life for the better. And I know people say, a lot of people can say that a show changed their life in a way, and One Piece really changed my life. It showed me what real friendship and loyalty are all about. The way Zoro just does what Luffy says without question when he was told to save Smoker, and how they're pirates, and even though they beat up the bad guys, causing a lot of people problems, they never take credit for it. Because they're pirates, for frick's sake. To Chopper's backstory and it being one of the saddest moments in One Piece for me. To frickin' Robin at Ian's lobby, and from that point forward, I adopted the Straw Hats way of life in my own life. No matter what, I will try my hardest to be there for my friends in any way I can. If they need me, even if they don't ask for my help, I've always got their back. And no matter what, I'm going to reach for my dream. I'm going to reach for my life and live it the way I want. From the massive amounts of characters, to the story, to the arcs that happen, to the grand battles that aren't about BS win conditions and overpowerment. It's about striving and taking your L's and coming out on top and bettering yourself. To the funny moments, to the sad moments, to the moments that make your jaw drop. Over 1,000 episodes in the making. And it still has the fan base that it has had since I started watching it. There is a reason why it's lasted for so long and why it's my number 1 anime. Because it never shuts out on quality. It never shuts out on storytelling or it never feels like you know what's going to happen. It never feels, even after all these years, it's never shut out on what Eiichiro Oda planned. And with the live action season 2 coming out soon, or coming out next year, it's a show, it's a story that has given me so much love, so much to learn from, so much enjoyment, so much energy, so much care. I can't wait for the one day where the end of the journey is there, and or maybe it won't. All these amazing reasons and my own personal are why One Piece is the number 1 anime for me on the Game Hub. That's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you for joining in this long-ass video. I mean, what do you expect from my top 13s when it's a subject like this? So, like, comment, subscribe down below. Thank you for joining in. What are your opinions on my opinions of these top 13? What are your favorite animes? I gotta get to bed. This is tiring. So, ladies and gentlemen, join me next week, where it's time for a new topic in a top 13. All I gotta say is, let's see, what's a good joke for this? Perfect. Get ready for the story of blood, guts, gunfire, martinis, and a lot of comedy from one of the greatest shows ever that is definitely mobile and short. Here we go. Man, that was stupid, but you know what? I'm tired. This is Gamer K, logging out.